Hi buddy, Alibaba has just announced their latest earnings and the result is mind-blowing. In this video, you will discover number 1, the updates on Alibaba's latest earnings, and number 2, what is the massive upside potential for Alibaba right now, and number 3, what is my personal opinion and action towards this update. Let's start with the updates on Alibaba's latest earnings. From this summary, we can see that Alibaba has a 37 year-on-year total revenue growth over here. So the latest result is, oh my god, it's amazing. Followed by the Alibaba Cloud segment, which personally I think that Alibaba management has been focusing on. The latest earnings shows that it has 50% year-on-year growth on the cloud computing side.
Oh my god! Wow!
And as usual, the monthly active users in Alibaba has been increasing and the profits and cash flow has been increasing steadily. Next, let's look at the costing as well. For your information, let's focus more into the quarterly financials. The costing has been increasing from 82 to 119, which is a big jump. It's not a very good thing. However, for product development and general expenses, Alibaba is doing a great job as it kept the costing low from 7.4 to 9.6 and from 5.9 to 6.9. So generally the increment is little, which is good. Next, we realized that the sales and marketing expenses has been increasing as well. And for your information, Alibaba is more on a platform business. And for a platform business to expand exponentially, they need to spend much more on sales and marketing. And for your information, I look at this segment more on the investment rather than the expenses. Next, this is an overview of Alibaba Group businesses, and we can see that the total revenue growth has been increasing 34% year on year. For such a big business like Alibaba, a 30% growth is pretty good. And as usual, majority of the revenue comes from China retail marketplace. In my opinion, Alibaba will pour much more money and resources into this segment, which is cloud computing, because I foresee that in the next 10 to or even 20 years, cloud computing is the way to go, and in this segment, the business is super scalable. Next, let's look at the core commerce segment. This segment is very important to Alibaba because as of now, the core commerce segment contributes the most revenue to Alibaba Group itself. From this, we can see that the revenue has been increasing exponentially at a rate of 38%. However, we have to take note that the earnings has been slowing down, which means the profit has been slowing down. Next, let's look at Alibaba Cloud segment. Like I mentioned, Alibaba Cloud segment is the way to go. As of the latest quarter, Alibaba Cloud has been growing at a rate of 50% year-on-year growth. And the good news is that EBITDA of 24 million renminbi, which is Chinese yuan, in the quarter was profitable for the first time compared to a loss of renminbi 356 million in the same quarter of 2019, primarily attributable to the realization of economies of scale. For Alibaba Cloud types of business, when the revenue grows exponentially, the expenses will not grow exponentially as well. The expenses will kept within the range, and therefore you can see that when the revenue grows, the expenses kept around the same and the margin will be bigger and bigger. And this is why Alibaba Cloud is the way to go, and it is one of the segments that is super scalable. Next, let's look at the digital media segment. For this segment, the growth is around 1%, which is not really a growth. However, the profit has been improving from a loss of 3,400 to 1,300. It is a slight improvement. However, this is just a small segment in the whole Alibaba Group. However, we just have to take note of this. Next, let's look at the total revenue breakdown in terms of numbers. From this breakdown, I realized that there is two segments that Alibaba management is focusing on. Number 1 is the international commerce wholesale, and number 2 is the cloud computing side, as mentioned much earlier. The percentage here is the year-on-year growth. Based on the growth rate, we can foresee what the management is currently focusing on. Personally, I'm very optimistic about Alibaba Cloud because not only Alibaba Cloud is growing, the whole industry is growing. Therefore, the addressable market will keep increasing throughout the next 10 or even 20 years. The reason why Cainiao Logistics has been increasing so fast is due to COVID, because due to COVID, the logistic business has been growing during that period of time. This graph is drawn based on scale, and it is comparing the 9 months ended December 31st, 2019 and 9 months ended December 31st, 2020. And you can see that there's a huge growth from 2019 to 2020. And a huge growth is mainly contributed by these two segments, which is cloud computing and core commerce. And I can boldly state that the management is currently pouring a lot of focus on these two segments. Next, the free cash flow of Alibaba for the quarter has been increasing at a rate of 23% from 78,000 to 96,000. Of course, these numbers are in renminbi, which is Chinese yuan in millions. The growth is so huge because when a company have a positive and healthy free cash flow, then it has ability to invest in research and development or invest in other businesses to grow the business exponentially. On top of it, in the recent period, a lot of people are afraid that Alibaba will be fined or will be penalty by the Chinese regulators. With a healthy and huge free cash flow, Alibaba got the ability to pay any penalty or huge fine anytime soon. Of course, as a current shareholder, I do not hope that it happens. So overall, what is the massive upside potential for Alibaba right now? Firstly, we have to take note that the revenue growth has been consistent and it is increasing at an exponential rate of 37% year on year. Over here, we can see that Alibaba management has been focusing on this segment, which is cloud computing. And this cloud computing segment has been growing at an exponential rate of 50% year on year. And just a reminder for all of us that Alibaba currently have an annual active consumer of more than 700 million. And for the last quarter, it has additional 22 million active users. And for mobile active users, it has been increasing tremendously and currently it has more than 900 million users. These are some of the highlights, and there's two things I want to point out. Number one is cloud profitability. Once again, Alibaba Cloud was profitable for the first time. So it is very likely that from next quarter onwards, cloud computing segment will be profiting all the way. Moreover, due to technology and the recent pandemic, brands and merchants on Tmall global platform grew more than 60% on a year-on-year basis. Because there are increasing number of brands and business out there wanting to offer their products and services to Chinese consumer, which is a huge addressable market. Therefore, they want to offer their products and services through the Alibaba route. And Alibaba, as a happy middleman, is monetizing everything. Although Alibaba's financial results are amazing and currently it has huge potential growth, but as an investor or potential investor, I want to share with you some of the stuff that we do have to take note of. The total revenue growth is at 37% year-on-year basis, which is pretty good. However, the cost of revenue, which is the expenses, is growing at a rate of 44%. So when the expenses is growing at a rate faster than total revenue, this is something we have to take note of because it shows that there is a possibility that the gross profit of Alibaba is declining over the years. That means although they are making money, but the margin is getting lesser and lesser. And in my opinion, this is partly due to the competition in this industry. As we know that Alibaba do have competition like Pinduoduo, JD, and etc. So this is something we investor or potential investors have to take note of it. And yes, I realize that the gross margin has been dropping. Next, I want to share with you about anti-monopoly investigation and also the update on Ant Group. As we all know, for the past 3 to 4 months, Alibaba has been a hot topic regarding the Ant Group IPO being suspended and also the Chinese regulators stepping in to investigate Alibaba regarding anti-monopoly policy. It mentioned that the regulators has commenced an investigation pursuant to the PRC anti-monopoly law, and the investigation is still ongoing and they are fully cooperating with the SAMR. Basically, the investigation is still ongoing. For Ant Group, I bet you already know, on November 3rd, 2020, Ant Group announced the suspension of its proposed dual listing and IPO on the Shanghai Stock Exchange, Starboard, and the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And currently, Ant Group is in the process of developing its rectification plan, which will go through the relevant regulatory procedures. Therefore, Ant Group's business prospect and IPO plans are subject to substantial uncertainties.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
This message over here is directly from Alibaba Group Investor Relations Department. So what is my personal opinion and action towards this update? If you have watched my Alibaba videos in this channel, you would know that I am a current shareholder of Alibaba, and in my opinion, currently Alibaba is still undervalued. Moreover, on December 28, 2020, Alibaba management announced that their board of directors authorized an upsize of the share repurchase program from $6 billion to $10 billion for a 2-year period. Basically, there's a large share buyback for Alibaba itself. Because Alibaba have such a huge amount of cash on hand, it can decide whether to use the same amount of money to invest in other businesses or use the same amount of money to invest in its own business through share buyback. After Alibaba announced its fantastic result yesterday, the share price of Alibaba actually dropped. Therefore, as a value investor, I feel that it is a value buy, and that is why I have entered much more shares of Alibaba, which is yesterday, at a price of 257. So currently my average price for Baba stock is 237. I really hope that you appreciate me for being so transparent just for you. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you benefit from this sharing. Do comment down below to share with us whether you are current Alibaba shareholder or are you considering investing into Alibaba right now, so that we can discuss further. Do subscribe to this channel so that I am able to share more insights with you and we can profit from the stock market together. I will see you in my next video over here.